Heyo, welcome to week 3 of the NSTL Pokemon Showdown League. This week I played Trogaholic and the Vancouver Tapu Konucks. I can appreciate the hockey reference. I don't mind Vancouver. And I know of people from there. I wouldn't say I have friends there. Tangent. Whatever. So this week I prepped pretty well because he brought Yanma instead of Gyarados. And Gyarados was a pretty big threat to my team. I basically only had Quagsire for it and sort of Hydreigon, which was Scarfed, and also Quick Feet Jolteon. So, I mean, I had things to try to handle it. I actually brought a physical Scarfed Hydreigon with like Thunderfang, so I could outspeed +1 Gyarados and all that. And so basically, once I saw that, I knew that going into this game, Nidoqueen was my win condition. My entire plan was to keep that thing healthy because Mega Manectric otherwise kind of toasts my team. Especially if he brought Signal Beam, which Manectric gets. So, I don't know. There's a lot of moves Manectric could have. Tapu Bulu is also a bit of a threat. But basically, looking at his team, I figured, okay, Heatran's a pretty good lead. Basically, I have two things that can handle it at all, besides Hydreigon with the ground moves. But so I decided to lead Nidoqueen, even though I knew I had to keep it healthy. I figured it would still be a decent lead. So just go right into the battle. Kind of lost my mind there, wasted time. So I was correct with the lead, and I say with the Nidoqueen, I go straight for the Earth Power. I said, if he's Shuka, if he switches, it doesn't matter. I need the damage. I get a crit. The crit, even if he was max special defense, didn't matter. It might have been a roll. So that was a huge turn one. He does get rocks up. I don't have anything way to get rid of that. But, like, that was fine. So he goes into Zygarde, and as a result, I go straight into Quagsire. Quagsire is my switch. I have Unaware. It's my only move for Zygarde the whole time. And as he Dragon Dances, I go for Toxic in case he either stays in or his Lum, burn the Lum. But he actually switches into Tapu Bulu, which is good for me because that Toxic is big, especially with this thing having leftovers and grassy terrain. But I don't have that much for it defensively. So I have to go into Tornadus, Therian. It's my only option. I have Sludge Bomb. I brought Sludge Bomb because basically between that and air flying coverage, I only needed one, and Sludge Bomb was much better for this thing. So he goes for Rock Tomb. It does a lot of damage, but I say, and there's no chance he's going to stay in. I'll still outspeed. He's clearly bulky, so I do U-turn out. I get some health back from Regenerator, and I go straight into Jolteon. This allows me to get my Flame Orb up, which is awesome because I did not have Protect. And I go straight for the Shadow Ball because that's basically the best thing I had to hit Manectric. I did have Synchro Noise, but I figured there was almost no chance he would stay in against me. So I go for Shadow Ball. It does a huge amount. He doesn't have much switches into this. His best special defender and Heatran is already gone. And I get the higher roll by a couple percent on the second Shadow Ball. And Jolteon, I was like, oh, Jolteon's done its job now that he doesn't have Gyarados. I don't really need this thing. I go for HP Ice in case he's Lum and not Yachi. He is Yachi. That's fine. I do still a good chunk. Jolteon goes down. It's not great. I could have just gone straight into Quagsire, which was my move for this thing always. But that's okay. So now I switch into Hydreigon because I know I outspeed. I'm Scarfed. He knows that too, so I go straight for the U-turn. Even if he stayed in, I could have gone into Quagsire, so it wasn't a horrible play. And then here, for the same reason, now that I've predicted a couple times, I'm going to stay in with Tornadus and go straight for the Sludge Bomb. No risk there. There's no reason not to go for that. Sludge Bomb hit everything else hard besides Zygarde, and Zygarde I have Quagsire for. Quagsire is always what goes in on Zygarde. So that was what my prep was for, and now I can go into Nidoqueen, which, like I said, I've kept it high health, specifically for this Manectric, and slightly because of the spooky Yanma sitting in the back, because, you know, I do have a decent bug and special weakness right now. But, I mean, it's fine. With Nidoqueen, I go for Earth Power on the first turn, and here I'm going to predict a Zygarde. I could just go for another Earth Power. It would still do a lot to Zygarde, but I'm going to go for Ice Punch. The reason I had Ice Punch and not Ice Beam is because he had Latias as a potential bring, and I didn't want that thing to be able to Calm Mind all day. So I want to be able to break subs if necessary. But that didn't end up mattering. It does matter because -1 prevents me from KOing the Zygarde, so I have to go into Quagsire. And here I do make a misplay. I figured he would either switch or not be able to 3-hit KO me, but he goes for Outrage. Outrage just does a huge amount. I don't know. I was not expecting that. I should have gone for counter or even recover. I go for a Rock Slide. It's a bad play, but it's not a huge deal at this point. So I go into Tornadus. Doing this allows me to U-turn. I know I outspeed, and I know he's still locked into Outrage. I get an extra 7-ish% from Regenerator, which is important in case that Yanma ends up being, having a chance to do damage to me. But like I said, I've kept Nidoqueen at high health. He has 2 special attackers left. He told me after the game he did not prep for Nidoqueen, especially defensive, and it's definitely showing here between not bringing Gyarados and the fact that his best thing to hit me is Flamethrower. So I get Self-Fox up in case Yanma is sashed. He ends up getting a burn, which makes it kind of spooky. It negates my Black Sludge, but 2 Flamethrowers don't bring me below half, and 1 Earth Power is certainly enough to take out a Manectric. And here Yanma comes in. This is his Z move user. Gyarados was his other Z move user, which would have made a lot more sense. I'm sure he was kicking himself for bringing Yanma. It was in theory it made sense. I have Hoopa, I have Hydreigon. He could have gotten some off, but I have Thunderbolt for this thing or for Gyarados. Hidden Power Ground is not even half my remaining health. So that's a very safe 4-0 for me. Quagsire was a misplay. That thing should not have gone down. That was just me kind of getting ahead of myself. I like to say there's 3 things that can really make you lose a battle. One is not prepping for one of their defensive mons, which happened right here, him versus Nidoqueen. He didn't really have much besides Zygarde for this Nidoqueen, and once Zygarde went down, there was nothing on his team to really take this thing out. So that's a misprep that can happen. The other one is unexpected sweeps, which didn't happen this week, but there was a game where a Sword Stance substitute Empoleon got like a 5-0 or something, and it's just like the other guy had nothing to hit it with. And then the third thing, which I've seen a couple times, is complacency. So what happens is people go up 5-3, 5-2, 4-2. They have one of their mons that still has a good matchup in, and they just kind of let it go down. They're like, okay, I'm up, I get a switch in, and all of a sudden the opponent takes advantage of that. So that's something that's almost happened here. I let Quagsire go down. It was basically my last answer for that Zygarde, sort of. I mean, besides the fact that he was locked into Outrage and I had Scarfed Hydreigon, but had that happened a little bit earlier, I could have been in a lot of trouble. So that's just something to keep in mind going forward. I forgot to introduce our records, but they would have been on the screen, so it was fine. We were both 1-1 going in, so now I'm 2-1, he's 1-2, and that's a big differential swing in my favor after I went 5-0 week 1 and only 0-1 week 2 when I lost. So I have a +8 differential right now. That's really good, especially at 2-1. And yeah, so we basically had very similar starts to our seasons. I believe he went 4-0 week 1, he lost week 2, and now he lost week 3. So Trog has some climbing to do. I'm in a decent position. That loss in week 2 is still a little bit rough, but hopefully I can play back, keep this momentum going, because it seems like my loss was close and my 2 wins have been real big. So hopefully that's something I can keep and keep my differential high, despite the fact that I keep bringing up that differential is not super huge in this league. It's more about record and individual matchups. That'll break ties. Differentials just for kind of for bragging rights, or just to feel better about myself when I inevitably go 2-9 from here. If it happens. But anyways, it's tangents and anecdotes. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you thought of my prep. Let me know what you thought of Yanma, because I was very excited when I saw Yanma. I said, this guy has some guts. It didn't work out, but I like a little bit sandbagging. It almost did. Had crits on Nidoqueen. He had Z move Bug Buzz. It would have taken out Hydreigon 100%. Would have taken out Hoopa. It could have been like a 3-0, 1-0, 2-0. He could have come back. Who knows? It's crazy stuff like that. It makes the league interesting. So I don't know. I didn't plan the ending. So thank you for watching, and see you next week for week 4.